Okay, since you seem to be lacking logic, do you know that logic is compounded phenomena?
Yeah, I'm aware of that, yeah. I'm not sure I like logic, but,
Okay.
I have this...
But you know logic is compounded.
Yeah.
So which means logic is impermanent.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, 2 questions. One more film one. If you were going to film enlightenment, how would you do it? Or could you give examples of scenes of enlightenment from film?
Watch Enlargement Guaranteed. This film is good. It's fantastic. To me, I don't know, especially if you're talking about the Zen Buddhist point of view of enlargement. It's like a small, they call it satori's, right? It's like it's really, what do you call it? Okay, why not? I should tell you. I don't have to tell you this if you're going to watch the film. But it's not like a suspense film. I don't think it will ruin. Anyway, the film is about 2 Germans. It's a really good film, I must say. I really enjoyed watching that. 2 Germans. Have you seen it? 2 Germans going to Tokyo, I think, in search for truth or something like that, some kind of meditation. And so, everything is different there. No language and all this. So, they get lost in Japan, they get really, so they go to monastery, they're asked to rub the floor, and all the Japanese, Zen stuff. It's really good, so funny also. But the most brilliant thing is the end. The ending, one of the person, this German guy, is gay, and he has been trying to keep it quiet. It's kind of, sort of, don't want to say this. So the end scene is in the train, and suddenly he calls his friend and says, hey, I forgot the name, something like Mark or something like that. And then Mark says, yes. And he said, he just smiled and says, I'm gay. And it's a big release for him. You understand? In this midst of this train, and that I think is quite a very good catching of a moment of release. Like he has said that. And that's not bad, I thought.
And then the other question is, when you were talking about namja, and so the anger comes at you, and then you start to get attached. You go, oh, anger. You recognize it, and then so that's the next. And but you were saying that it was you start to get to attach that, so it's not full attaching. So then is it you kind of just let that recognition of anger and just leave that alone?
Yes.
And so you just have to, is it almost, but it sounds like if you keep on doing something of letting it alone, that's almost
becoming a dogma too. Yes.
Right.
Not good. Yeah.
So how do you avoid that?
Always, as Paltur Rinpoche said, shrug off the skin of meditation. Always. Like snakes, they shed their skin. Meditators must always learn. Very important. The meditators must learn to shed their meditational skin. Very important. Never. And this is very important, because how many people come. They do like 1 week retreat and say, oh, I had a dream. I had this. See, they're not shedding their meditational skin. When you meditate, there's like deva, salva, mito, vinyam, all kinds of experience comes. Non-conceptual, bliss, clarity. Like a saliva that you spit on the surface, you should not even look at it. You should just disregard it. By doing that, you step forward. If you don't, you climb one step and you're really enjoying and, like glorifying and celebrating the being able to step on one step. But all this time you are caught up with the celebration. Right? So it takes time, celebration. So you have to go forward.
First of all, I want to take this opportunity and thank you personally for the teachings that you've been giving so far. And my question is, I think it just the gentleman has just touched it's regarding the gay, and I'm going to bring the lesbian in here. In Tibetan, being a Tibetan, we, at least in my lifetime, we never have any Tibetan lesbians or gays as such.
Well, we don't know that though. Okay.
And all the teachings that we've been doing so far, I think your example is always like, let's say, there is a fight between husband and a wife, and there is no inclusive of gays or lesbians in there. And if I were one of them, and I think they will feel left out of there. I just wonder how Buddhist. What is the Buddhist approach, and what is the phenomena? I think these lesbians and the gays, they are not pretending themselves to begin with. They are some kind of like grown up or taken as their inherent nature. And I find it's quite lost in that. And how
does the Buddhist view on
Buddhist? Yes.
Homosexual issues?
Gays and lesbians.
Right. Actually, I'll tell you something. I think Buddha never had any problem with sexual orientation. The problem is always with the desire. How you do it, whether you do it with another human being or a tree, for that matter, it's really not an issue. It is the desire. Naropa said this, Naropa said this, it is not the appearance that is binding you, it is the attachment to the appearance that's binding you. So,
okay, I'm not coming to sexual act as an orientation, but the nature of being born as a lesbian inherently.
This is, in the engine of Nirvana, this is actually right at the beginning of all the teachings. The beings have different merva intention, different element. I guess you can include this thing in there. Samba, different way of thinking, different way of, different constitution. All that. This is not a news at all. For Buddha Dhamma, it is not a news.
Thank you very much.
But, it's good that you brought this up, because if you see there is a prejudice, it is always a cultural thing. It's always a cultural thing.
I have a question regarding the last topic, the fourth line. There was an example that you used, I think, several times, the example of a, let's say, per se, unidentifiable object, which human call water, fish don't call, but perceive as environment and so forth. And I think if I heard you correctly today, you even said that it doesn't mean that there's no object out there. So now I was wondering how...
There's no independent object. There's no independent from subject.
Okay.
Object is there, dependent totally on subject.
Okay, so that would mean that there's, because where I was coming from before is that if there's still an, let's say, unidentifiable object perceived differently by different
I see.
how can one give up this
I see.
attachment to objects?
I see. Okay. Now there's a lot of debate on that one, but I don't think that actually, especially by the time you reach the Chittamata school, they don't believe that there is actually an independent object. It's just perception.
And does the Chittamata school that this is actually ultimately really existing, this mind?
Yes, that's what the Mahayana says so. I've never read the Chittamata, completely.
That's what the Madhyamaka...
That the Madhyamika people say, that this is what you say. But we haven't read a lot of Chittamata texts, so I don't know, I have to be fair with the Chittamata. I have sometimes I doubt a little bit.
And a small, maybe it's irrelevant, a small second question. In the example of the moon and the reflection and the face and the mirror, does the actual face or the moon have anything to say? Because you only talk about the reflection and the mirror.
Well, the face or the moon is basically, I was just bringing that up because it's appearing there as a face or as a moon. Because there is a cause and condition, because there are things put together. Just because of that I was bringing it.
But it doesn't have any kind of existence, non-existence. That's not part of the actual example.
It is, because you see, it is because when you are not looking at the mirror, you are not seeing the face. Right? A phenomena is phenomena only when it is perceived. But whatever you perceived is not truly existing, just like that face. So for that reason, face is necessary as an analogy. Okay.
When you were talking about how as soon as you see the emotions coming and you name them, there's grasping in them. And I was thinking how myself I work with these transformation techniques a lot, and sometimes I grasp a lot and it tends to be very contrite. And sometimes I try to apply just watching kind of thing, but I find that it takes a lot of mindfulness and also awareness to really kind of follow through.
Yes.
And I feel sometimes a little fearful that if I don't follow through all the way, I'll lose my concentration. I'll just get caught up in.
I'm hearing. Okay, you just need a lot of. You need to become expert. I think you are doing it, I would say, but you just need to get used to it. You are not. You are still riding your bicycle, first day, second day maybe. So you can't afford to look right and left. One day, you will be so good at it. What do they call it? These teenagers there doing all these bicycle tricks, jumping up in the sky and all of that. You don't even have to concentrate. That's why you need to get used to it.
And also, sometimes I find myself, when the emotions are too strong, that I can't do any transformation. I can just sit and watch and maybe
That's good enough. That's what.
So when one decides...
Actually, that's good enough. Okay. Again, as I was saying yesterday, I'm bringing the Kontrulota Thay's example. He said, there's a Sharvakayana, Mahayana, and the Vajrayana. You can practice these three all together. When you have strong emotion, first beginning with is really seeing the fault of the emotion, right? That is going to give you pain, really useless, why I'm angry, why I'm jealous, there's no point, all of this, right? All the Sharvakayana teachings, right? And then, secondly, Mahayana method, which is infinite. One of them is, if you are really painful with your jealousy or anger, then you pray or have aspiration. All the jealousy of all sentient beings come to you, stuff like that. There are many other, or transform it with other things like emptiness and stuff like that. When it comes to Vajrayana, again infinite method. One of them is just watching. Yeah, but to help this, watching this, you can also visualize them as a deity, so on and so forth.
So, my last question is, does this technique sometimes come as a circumstantial thing? Because that you are not able to do any of the other two except that one particular?
The thing is, the last one, just knowing, although it is very simple method, it is the most difficult. Because most of the time we don't know whether we are doing it or not. Most of the time we may think we are doing it, but it's only a pretense. So it's always good to bank on to the first two. Okay.
Actually, a question about, in the first half you said something about 2 years ago someone has not met you, hasn't perceived you, and that they don't exist. Later on, when they actually perceive you, it's almost as if they've created you by perceiving you.
Yes.
And I guess it seems confusing to me that basically if I open my eyes and hear it, I'm basically creating phenomena wherever I go. But then additionally, it seems strange that like the teachings and the Dharma actually exist in my own mind, and I'm just remembering them. Or
oh, very good. This is really good. Yeah, this is good. You should really use your logic to prove that you have the Buddha nature. See, if I'm teaching to this world, there's no understanding, there's no reflection, there's no conceiving the idea, right? But you do. So at the least, you have some kind of you comprehend what I'm saying. Now, if your Buddha nature is accompanied with merit, you will understand more. So your perception of the teaching gets clearer and clearer. This alone is a good reason that people like Maitreya talk about Buddha nature. That actually, this may be something I've forgotten to tell you during the refuge. In the Mahayana, basically all Buddha Dharma, when we talk of refuge, very important. This is another thing that you have to tattoo on your skin. Remember? Your body will be full of tattoos. This is another thing you should tattoo. Choksum Rangju Duba, we call it in Tibetan. When we take Chandra, refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, I take refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Essentially, you have to develop Buddha, Dharma and Sangha within yourself. That's so important. Buddha, Dharma and Sangha will not remain as a refuge object and you remain as a refugee. That's very important. And the reason why it's possible is because you have Buddha nature. Okay? Just this one. Okay, you finished? Okay, last one.
Thank you again, Rinpoche. It's clear the understanding of emptiness and Prajna family is so important for the teaching, for both Chitta, as you mentioned. For a complete beginner, after this course, how does one, if on a practical point of view, really try to, excuse the word, but grasp the Prajna Paramita and understanding? What should one do, to really, get the understanding?
Are you talking for you or for...
Yeah.
Okay.